up a chair, my friend, the kitchen table's on. Kenny's pouring stories like a long, slow midnight song. Three lads in from the zoo, grins a mile wide as they sit. Harlem smoke still in their jackets, heart of the city in their wit. Here's to engine 59 and the Harlem Zoo. Let our 30 rolling like we always do. Raise your glass for the house and the ones that came through. We laugh, we fight, we find our light at the Harlem Zoo.
How about now? Do you see it now?
Yes. Yeah.
Should be on this side, maybe?
Yep. I see
Yeah.
it.
All right, cool. All right, cool. Bro, awesome stuff, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the kitchen table, a brunch edition. Breakfast for my guest, but brunch for me, because he's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. We're bracing for some major storm coming in here, snowstorm. Yeah, we're getting about 1 foot, 2 feet where I am. So, and we'll talk about that. But anyway, kitchen table, brunch edition. Before I get started, appreciate everybody's support. Like the channel, subscribe, comment, share it, whatever. I really appreciate everybody. It's growing, and I appreciate everybody growing with me. So I want to get a nice little intro here. If I fuck it up, I'm sorry. Kenny D's a little nervous. I got to be honest with you. But so in life, you come across. I wrote things down, so I don't forget it. In life, you come across very few people in their profession that are just that good, that are just head and shoulders above everybody else. It's very rare to come across somebody like that. And it's not because that they were born that way. It's because they fucking worked hard. They have discipline. They practiced every day in and day out, got up and did it, gained knowledge, gained experience, and just outworked everybody else. Not because they were born with talent, because they outworked you. And if you are so lucky in life to come across somebody like that, you would do yourself a disservice by not trying to gain that knowledge from them, by not trying to learn from them, by not working, whatever. I've only come across maybe 3 people in my life. Once in the Navy, 1 or 2 in the fire department. And I got to tell you, watching this guy here across from me just might be one of those guys. I followed him on Instagram. His name is Brad Dunn. He is the owner-operator CEO of Reliant Fitness online coaching program. And he is just watching him from the beginning to now, just the experience, the knowledge, the everything that he has done. He's built himself up through discipline and hard work. It's just unbelievable. And I'm really, really excited and pumped to talk to Mr. Dunn today. So welcome, Brad Dunn, to the kitchen table, man. How are you?
I'm doing well, brother. Happy to be here. And thank you for having me, honestly.
Oh, awesome, dude. I mean, I couldn't, being a fireman in the past, I was like, I got to get this guy on. I know that some of your clients have to be FDNY guys.
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
But,
I got guys all over the country. So it's pretty cool to see that. Obviously that's still a strong part of the culture, I guess, like coming into my programming and coaching. So it's cool to see. Nice.
Once you're a fireman, you're always a fireman. And we have a brotherhood like none other. No matter where you worked, we all have something in common with each other. So really, really cool, man. All right, so let's just get into, you're from the West Coast. What part of California from?
So I grew up in Orange County, more specifically like Trabuco Canyon. So kind of tucked back in the foothills of the southern part of Orange County. So spent pretty much most of my life there, raised by my mom, my dad, had a little brother, and dad ran his own construction landscape business. My mom was pretty much a stay-at-home mom until we were in middle school, and then she went back to real estate, played sports, the whole nine, happy little family in the suburbs, and the list goes on, bro.
Yeah. So you had a pretty good upbringing. You had a pretty good life.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I would be lying if I said that I had a bad childhood or had faced any sort of hardship or adversity at a young age. Like it came later, but as far as the childhood goes, it was, picturesque in a sense.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool, man. What kind of sports did you play growing up? Because you're definitely athletic, so I know you played some sports.
So first sport was hockey, man. Got into hockey at like 5. Hockey, karate, those were my first 2 sports.
Yeah.
Obviously did a bout with soccer for a little while because that was like the popular kid thing.
Yeah.
Football was like my first like real love. Started playing football in like 4th or 5th grade, all the way up until high school.
Mhm.
And then I was a late bloomer, bro. Like I didn't grow, until like almost like graduation of high school. So
Really?
football for me was not the calling once we got into high school. So I moved to a more technical sport. I did a short bout in wrestling, and then I picked up lacrosse. And I just loved lacrosse and played lacrosse through high school into college for a short period of time, and then laid it down.
Nice. So you hit your growth spurt late in life?
Yeah. I was a runt, bro. Like you probably wouldn't believe it, but I graduated high school. I was probably like 5'6", 110 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah. Bro, I'm 52. I'm still waiting for my fucking growth spurt. I'm 5'4", about 155 pounds. So I'm still getting, lend me some of that growth spurt, but
Yeah, right.
So lacrosse was a big sport in Southern Cal.
So it made a big hit around that time because I had never heard of it before. Like
Really?
I'd never heard of it before I got into middle school. And I saw some kids playing, and I'm like, what? Like, it's like hockey, but you get a fucking metal stick and you can still check people, and it's fast. I'm like, dude, sign me up, bro. Like, sign me up, and a lot of the kids I played with it was off season of football. So we had a very physical team, you know, so we were out there fucking headhunting, and laying hat on people. And most of the kids that in that age group are not used to getting fucking laid out. So we thrived on it, and we had a great team, great coach, great program. So dude, I loved every minute of it.
Awesome. And so you were like you were a very aggressive player.
Oh yeah.
And you're probably born with that, like it's very hard to teach aggression. Like you're either almost born with it or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, dude, a lot of it, born with it, whatever, cultivated through sports, you know what I mean? But I was blessed, at a young age, like in football, Pop Warner, we had a very strong program with some amazing coaches that obviously, like that mindset, that discipline, that attitude on the field or in sport, paved way for a lot of things that I still do today. And these guys were freshman, sophomore JV coaches for modern day, and they were coaching our football team, and we were like 9, 10, 11 years old, basically running a California powerhouse high school program.
Wow, that's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool. So a lot of your value, a lot of things that you learned, you started there. And
sports. The structure, the discipline, the attitude of, when you show up, this is basically your fucking job. Show up and act like a professional.
Yeah. So when you got into college, where'd you go to college?
So I did a short stint at a junior college or community college, as we call it, at Irvine Valley College down here. And then I transferred to Concordia University in Irvine. I did a year there in their athletic training program. So I was doing, exercise science, kinesiology, sports medicine, working in the training room, with the athletes and stuff like that. I was actually supposed to get a lacrosse scholarship. That was the main reason that I went there. And then I played like one season, as at a club. What do they call that?
Like a club team.
Yeah, it's basically it's not sanctioned yet, but they were like going to sanction the school sport funding, all the thing like the following year, and they're like, oh, we'll give you, we'll make sure that you get funding and can go here because it was a private Christian school. It was fucking expensive.
Yeah.
And then I got railed on funding and scholarship. I'm like, well, I can't fucking pay $30,000 a year to go here without scholarship. Yeah. So fucking see you later, bro.
Yeah, man. I know how that shit goes. And you got kids, so sooner or later you're gonna have to deal with that. I'm dealing with that right now, man. But that's cool, man. That's fucking. So you already have a background in health and fitness and training and stuff like that. So that definitely helped you out later on in life for sure.
Absolutely. And that was kind of a big part of why I got into it. You know what I mean? Like I had obviously passion for it, past experience worked as an in-person personal trainer when I was like 18, 19, 20 at some of the big box gyms in Orange County. So it was something I was already doing, it just kind of laid to rest for a period of time while other areas of my life kind of took off. Cause when I dropped out of college, I started just working, I went to the trades, so my first real job after dropping out of college was, I went and worked in an auto shop. I was a mechanic,
nice.
for 7-8 years.
That's awesome.
So yeah. And, that was great. I love the fact that I was able to get that level of experience and get very technical and hands-on with stuff. Loved it. Loved every bit of it. But I reached a point in that career after about 10 or 11 years where I no longer felt like challenged, I was kind of bored, in a sense. And that's what drew me to getting into fire. I was like, I turned like 30 years old, which is a late start, in almost all regards. Oh, you started late too?
I turned 30 in Proby School. Yeah.
So I turned like 30 and I was kind of like, man, like, I don't really want to be a mechanic anymore. I don't feel like it's my calling to continue to do unless I open up like my own operation. But it's like, and then like, I was like, I'd always wanted to be a firefighter. Like, obviously, like, dude, who doesn't go through a period in their younger life where they're like, I want to be a fireman. Like everybody says that at some point in time.
Every young boy probably has said that in their life.
Yeah. And not to mention, dude, like everybody I'd ever met that was a firefighter, like said they love their job. And I was like, I want that. I want to love my fucking job. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm surrounded by people who are fucking miserable and hate what they do. If I'm going to go to work, a couple days a week, every day a week, I fucking might as well love what I'm doing, so I did some deep digging, and I'd always had this predetermined stigma where it's like, well, if you didn't start fresh out of high school, or if you got visible tattoos, or any sort of, smears on your record, which I have, from back in the day, that it was fucking hard no, and I went around and I did the, the old school thing, some door knocking, some talking, some sitting down with on-duty crews. And I'm like, I really want to get into this and I'm not really sure how. What do I need to do if I wanted to work here? And they kind of laid me out. They're like, well, go get your CPR, go get your EMT. If you're really fucking serious, go enroll in an academy and come back with, all the necessary certs to at least get started. And that's exactly what I did. You look like you want to say something.
Yeah. No, I'm letting you finish. I watch a lot of podcasts and stuff, and the bad habit that I don't ever want to get into is not let my guests finish what they're saying. You know what I mean? But when something clicks in my head, I got a lot of energy. I go, oh shit. So the FDNY, like I'm trying to compare FDNY to SoCal. FDNY, you take one test for the department because there's 11,000 guys on the job. The city's 8 million people. Now, California, is there a test for a specific department? Is there a test for a bunch of departments, or like, how does that work?
So, I mean, I'm sure it's changed over the last couple of years because it seems like it's very dynamic in a sense. But the way that it usually goes, at least out here in California, from my level of experience, is there are departments that basically want people to come in with nothing. You are taking their test, you are going through their program, and they are molding you from the start. There are like, let's say traditional departments in that regard. But there's a lot of places that want to see the incentive that you either, you have a college degree, or that you went and did EMT, or that you came in with your firefighter 1 and maybe your basic rope rescue, and some of these certificates that place you higher in a scoring system for hiring. So typically that'll be, that's the case. And because I was 30 years old, I was like, well, I'm not going to just rely on, age and life experience. Like, I'm going to go out and get fucking everything and try to be, undeniable. Cause I know what's going to happen when I fucking show up for an interview. They're going to look at me and be like, who's this fucking retarded guy with neck tattoos and hand tattoos thinking that he's going to work for us? you know.
Look
But
at me, just you can't just hire me like this. I'm the fucking best for this job.
well, that's what I was saying. I was like, I'll outwork fucking anybody you guys got, bro. Like, if we're going into some shit, who do you want fucking next to you? The kid with the fucking test scores, or the dude who's been working for the last fucking 15 years?
The man, man who's been working for the last fucking 15 years. Yeah. So same thing. The FDNY, before, at least it was when I got on the job. You had to take a written test, physical test. Then you put on a list. And before you even get the job, first of all, you can't even take the test if you're over 29 and a half. And to get the job, you have to have, I think they call it EMR certification now. It's we called it CFRD, Certified First Responder and Defibrillator, to even get the job. And then once you're in the academy, you recertify and you do all that shit. So it's interesting to hear that you have to get like firefighter 1, firefighter 2, rope rescue, this, that, and the other thing before you even can get considered for an academy. Is there an academy you go to?
So you can go to like an academy through a community college and basically pay, you know, to participate. And most of them range between 14 to 20 weeks long. So you're going through a full-fledged academy. You're just not necessarily doing it with the department name on your back. You know what I mean? Like you're doing it on your own in preparation to get ready for a job. You know what I mean? And then you go and then apply, you know, a test, interview, and then hopefully everything that you've presented as far as previous training, readiness, you know, interview is what ranks you high enough to get the job. And then typically they'll put you through another fucking academy, you know?
Man, that sounds great. I'm going to put up a picture real quick.
Yeah.
Can I, is this you?
Yes. Right here in the front. Yeah. So
So no mustache. I don't see that mustache in that.
Not yet. So that was early days of Academy, Firefighter Academy. I was squad 1 leader. So I was basically my platoon leader when we were in formation. And yeah, I really love this whole process, man, because it was a live-in academy in Eastern San Diego. And I got in earlier than I expected. Right. So I went and knocked out my EMT, did an expedited EMT course out in Arizona. So a 14-day EMT course, 12-hour days, 14 days straight.
Bang that shit out, man.
Banged it out. You know, I didn't have time to go sit through a semester at a community college. Like I was on a fucking war path to get in. You know, like I literally
determined.
When I made the decision, dude, I locked my box at the auto shop and said, I'll fucking see you guys in a couple of months. And I went and rolled and did everything.
Wow.
And came home from EMT, did all the things for the academy, got accepted early because a couple people had dropped out. So started a couple months early, which was great. And then, so live in academy, that building you saw behind is basically a double wide, and they fucking housed 27 of us in there, you know,
that fucking building.
Oh yeah. It's
nut to butt, man. You guys are nut to butt.
bunk beds, lockers, small ass kitchen, you know,
very militarized,
like it was hell, but it was awesome. You know what I mean? And we got up every day at fucking 5 a.m. and they kicked the fucking dog shit out of us for 2 hours. And then we'd have to go out, line up for inspection. They'd inspect our, you know, class Bs. They'd inspect the barracks. And if we failed inspection, we got PT'd again, you know, in uniform, you know, and then they expected that shit to be spotless again the next day at 7:30. You know what I mean? So
I know.
It was fun.
Now that class, everybody in that class probably went to a different department, right? Is that, or different house or something like that? Okay.
Yeah, because that was not a department specific academy. So that was like the precursor. So you're there to get prepped for the job and get some certifications in hopes that you get hired for an outside department. You know, so same thing. That was preliminary to even getting accepted anywhere. Okay.
All right. Wow. That blows my mind because for us, the city job is just like, take the test, take the physical. You got to get 100 and 100. Because 50,000, 100,000 people take this test.
Right.
If you're over 5,000, you're probably not getting the job. I was number 3,000, basically 3,000 on my list, and it took me 4 years to get hired. And I was getting at an age where I wasn't going to get hired, and it was my last shot. And you know, so it worked. I think it worked out. Where now you get out of Proby School, right? Fucking full of piss and vinegar, ready to fucking eat fire. Where do you go? Where do you get hired?
So I came back to San Luis Obispo, right? So that's where I live. And the only thing that I could do at that time was pick up a couple like almost like volunteer jobs. So
Okay.
getting on the job experience in county, you know. So we had a couple reserve programs, right? So
Mhm.
you part-time paid, but not paid very well. It was like, you know, $15 an hour, and you go work a 24-hour shift or a 48-hour shift, or another program called paid call. So you can go do like, say, it's basically a ride along, you know, like you're at the station, you do all the things, but you only get paid when you get a call. You know what I mean? So like you're basically,
so you're hoping to fucking run your balls off to get paid.
yeah. Yeah. So
Wow.
I basically got involved in 3 of the programs here in the county. So, and was basically full-time part-timer, you know, like I do 24 to 48 hours at one station. I'd get off, I'd fucking leave my gear there, go to another station, do 24 to 48 hours there, maybe come from home for a day, and then fucking just keep bopping around, because they were all in different parts of the county and they all had different aspects, you know, like, so 2 of them were medic stations, medic schedule A, so engine squad, medic crew, ocean rescue stuff. And then the other one was, you know, they had heavy rescue, engine, and wildland. So was getting a lot of different aspects from each of them, and did that for about 8 months. And then I got picked up by CalFire for a seasonal position. So that's specifically wildland, and you're working, you know, spring, summer, fall, and then you're basically laid off for the winter and recycle. Yep.
Nice. That is so okay, cool. So now, do you get extra? I would think you have to. You get your training in Proby School, structural fire training. You know, CalFire is fucking interior type stuff. Do they train you for wildland fire also in the academy, or do you get that after you get out?
Yeah, so they do a brief wildland part in the academy. So it's usually like 1 or 2 weeks of the academy are wildland focused. But here's the deal: is so the academy that I went to, it was even taught by a CalFire captain, right? Which CalFire is California's like wildland bread and butter department. Like that's what we do. Like,
all right, so CalFire doesn't do structural.
No,
stuff?
they do.
Oh, they do. Okay,
they do. So they have county contracts where obviously they're Schedule A, they're medic, they do all the things, but we're also a state resource. So we have the type 3s where we're rolling out, you know, wildland incidences, and brush fires are like our get down, you know.
Yeah.
But so they basically did a wildland portion of our academy taught by a CalFire captain, but we didn't get the cert for it. So then I had to go through another 6-week academy after that. That was structure and wildland, but then it's like I got the cert, you know, but same thing, like we're cutting line, we're running hose lays, we're doing all the, you know, all the shit, you know, shelter deployments, like all the basic stuff, you know, and it's like, cool, here's your fucking piece of paper, you know, like even though you did it already, like
if you do something to get on the job, then they fucking make you do it all over again. You're like, I just did this shit, man.
Yeah,
like
it was very.
We have to recertify every 3 years for CFRD, CPR, defibrillator, and it sucks, man. It's just I'm like, I know how to do this. I do this 10 times a day. Like I don't need to. All right, so you're out there, you're out and about, you're bouncing around these houses, right? You got any? You catch your first fire? You remember your first fire?
I do.
Let's hear it.
I do. So it was a grass fire, wildland fire, and I was on a Schedule A engine, so still, you know, volunteer part-timer, and we were doing training, we were doing like some 2.5 to bundles operations, like middle of the day. And
what is it 2.5 to bundle operation?
So it's basically like an interior hose lay with 2.5-inch hose.
2.5 inch. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and so, or, you know, structure defense, you know, so wrapping the side of a building with a larger diameter hose, you know, versus like 1.5 inch, 1.75 inch. So we were running training, you know, doing a bunch of hose lays with 2.5, and then saw a fucking header coming over the hill, and it was, you know, time to go.
Nice.
So went rolling, getting changed out, because we're all in structure gear. We've been training for fucking 2 hours. We're smoked. So then it's like throw on wildland gear And I think we were first.
I'm sorry, structure gear. That's what we call bunker gear.
Bunkers, structure gear. Yeah.
Okay.
So, so, and then we switch out to our wildland stuff. So it's like, like basically a fireproof work shirt and fucking pants and a different helmet and,
like that.
Yep.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
And so we pull up and I think we had gone past the house that we were going to do structure defense on, and like fire's already licking up on the side of the road. We double back and we go immediately into, structure defense. So we back up, come up this sketchy little driveway. This house was not a good house. Like ingress, egress was fucking poor. There's overgrown vegetation everywhere. Like looking back at it now with, a couple years of experience, like I would have been like, I don't know, man. I don't fucking know, bro. Like
that place looks like a shithole. Maybe we shouldn't.
Yeah, maybe it's not worth, us, but
nobody's in there.
Nobody was in the house, but we saved it. We pulled the engine up. Nice. We ran hose, and basically knocked everything down that was bumping up to the house. I think, so that was like first active fire that I rolled up on. Some small shit where it's like, small garage fire, something smoldering, their fucking boat motor sparked or whatever, but that was like first, like, oh shit moment, and
man,
it was a lot of fun because I remember getting out of the engine, putting a hose pack on. So we carry 300 feet of 1.5 inch wildland hose on packs. And
really?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow. Holy shit.
Yeah. It weighs like fucking 80 pounds.
Because you got to trek into the fucking woods, man, with that, right? Holy shit.
And get out of the engine, and it's like fucking fire's just licking up on the side of the road. I'm like, oh fuck. And then my engineer's like, get back in the engine, we're going back to the house. I'm like, okay, like all right, but it was amazing, like it was everything I fucking wanted, it was chaos, it was fun, it was, get your fucking balls all fucking in a jiffy, and get out there and then go to work, and then when it's all said and done, get some high fives, some good food, and go change, you got that, you see the smoke and you're like, oh, here we go, man, it's coming. Oh yeah. And then you're doing it and the fire's there and for us, we're down a hallway or whatever, and you're like, I'm doing it, this is what I'm doing it, I'm here, and then you got to focus on what you got to do, but that's fucking awesome, man. Yeah, no, it's cool, man, because obviously when you're like, fresh out of academy, or you're doing those training scenarios, you're just like waiting for it, you're itching for that first incident, where you get to kind of like prove yourself, if you will. Yeah. And I was like so hungry for it, dude. Like I was dying, like that's part of the reason I spent so much time going between all the stations. I was like, I want to catch a fucking fire, bro. Like, we as a county are relatively slower than some areas, right? We're fairly rural. We don't necessarily have any hood or low income areas, which is where it usually fucking pops off. But in the summertime, since it is rural, we get a lot of grass fires that get into structure, get into, bump up on neighborhoods. Yeah. So that's kind of like our bread and butter. So what was it? The Pacific Palisades fire last year or a year and a half ago? Is that anywhere near where you were? Or that's about 2.5, 3 hours south of where I live. Oh, south. Okay. All right. That was fucking legit, man. That burned what, a couple hundred homes, right? Easy. Yeah. It fucking ripped from what I saw, and that's what happens, like we get those, obviously there's some conspiracy around how it started and what drove it. But outside of that, like when we get these California fires after it's been, hot all summer long, everything's super dry. You put topography and weather in alignment, and that shit just goes. Yeah, the winds play a huge part. Like you get them fucking, is it the Santa Ana winds? I don't know. Yeah, Santa Anas or sundowners, the Elsinore effect. There's a couple different areas in the state that have like these weird wind tones that everybody gets that fucking hair on the back of their neck if they experienced it a couple times. Like I'm sure like you guys do if you go into a certain area and like building codes and they're like like, I don't know if we want to go to the fucking 13th or 14th floor in this building, like, it's like you're coming into work and the heavy winds that day or whatever. You're like, all right, man, we might have to be ready for this one today. For sure. And we'd have, some of those heads up moments early in the day. Like we'd we were always, you know, we'd have a morning sit down where we'd go over weather patterns, how hot it was supposed to be that day, where the wind's coming from.
Yeah.
You know, so we were typically very prepared. And if it would look like, you know, a quote unquote red flag day, they're like, hey, we're gonna chill out today because it's probably gonna get fucking active this afternoon.
Right.
You know?
Right. Just so this way we're rested up, we're ready to go. Cool, man. Cool. So how is the culture in the firehouse? How you guys get along? You guys play pranks, you eat, cook together? What, you know, how was it, man?
No, it was great, man. I mean, it was everything I anticipated it being, right? You know, it's we got along with everybody. Obviously, there are a lot of shit talking, you know, and kind of broing down. We didn't do too many pranks. We would do some stuff, you know, like if somebody left their uniform out, we'd fucking freeze it in a bowl of water, you know, or hoist it up on the flagpole and be like, go fucking find it, you know, like small shit like that. But really, you know, in all essence, dude, like the dynamic, I was really lucky. Like I worked at a really good house that had a really solid program, you know, like everybody was on the same page, you know, we had a lot of station pride, you know, so like we were really tight knit in that. And we, in a sense, like I know, like, and I'm sure you guys have this over there too, but it's like we just wanted to shit on everybody, you know, like, oh, Station 30, those are the big dogs, like, you know what I mean? So like that was the reputation that we had, and we tried to uphold it. So we'd always want like the hardest part of the job, the most active part of the fire, you know, like we had some very, very experienced, you know, captains and engineers. So it was a lot of fun. And I'm grateful for the time that I was able to spend there.
Yeah. You still got friends? You still keep in touch with people from the job?
Yeah, a ton of them. Nice. I just now it's just a completely different dynamic though. Like everybody's like in different areas, or they promoted, or they're working in a different aspect of the department.
Right.
So
right. It's been a few years, you know, moving on a little bit. I'm going to put up a little quick video of a little training session here.
Go ahead. I'm going to hold it down so I can see.
There you go. Oh, so there you go. Nice. Throwing a ladder up.
Yeah. So we're practicing some ladder drills, ingress, egress, you know, that rope dummy thing is just, you know, practicing getting them out, and then hose operations. This was Station 15. So that was in Los Osos. So that was a reserve part-time position at a medic station.
Okay.
Which is south of Morro Bay. Morro Bay is kind of a bigger, you know, location here on the Central Coast. So gives a little recollection, but that was a really awesome program too, because it allowed me to get a lot of experience you wouldn't normally get on that medic side, that A side, like, you know, watching guys actually push meds and do, you know, working calls versus just the EMT side where you're pretty much just like load and go for the most part. So that was a lot of fun. And that was
how busy were you for EMT stuff and medical stuff?
A lot. I'd say a large majority of what we did was all EMT medic stuff, like easy, you know, like the running standard, dude, like 3/4 of our calls, 80% of our calls were all medical.
Yeah. Yeah. We got killed. I worked up in Harlem and in New York City, and we were one of the busiest companies on the job, always, every year. We ran between 5,000 and 7,000 runs a year. Ooh. And a lot of them were, in the city were medical runs. And it really takes its toll on you.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and then you start running into the shitty ones with kids and stuff like that. And, you know, you got anything like that? I mean, you got anything like that you want to share? Or?
Fortunately, I don't have any like super traumatic calls where I'm like, you know, like it really fucked me up, you know, obviously there's a couple standout ones, but like, dude, I'm weird in that sense. Like that shit does not bother me. Like, I mean, and granted, fortunately, I never dealt with any sort of pediatric call. You know, like I think the closest thing I got to a pediatric call was a kid, a young baby made his way into the fucking laundry detergent. You know what I mean? And his mom was freaking out because he was like burping bubbles or throwing up blue shit, you know? And I'm like, he's breathing. He's fine.
He's going to be all right. Don't worry. You know? Just, you know, fucking rinse him off a little bit. He'll be fine. Throw him in the washing machine. He can wash him close. But I gotta ask you, the mustache, was the mustache, you got a power mustache there, bro. Was it because of the fire department, or did you have it before the fire department?
So I actually started having the mustache before fire department. So I did, you know, when I was younger, I would grow out like handlebars. And then obviously getting into, you know, some of the department specifics, they start making you trim it up, or, get a little cleaner with that. So
Yeah,
now I
yeah.
still kind of bounce back and forth, whether it's more of a mustache or a full handlebar setup. But yeah.
I was gonna say you grew it, and you go, well, since I grew this sick mustache, I guess I have to be a fireman now.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
man. All right. Do you know what I want to ask you about? What did you think when you got there? When you got to the firehouses, what did you think of the shape of guys? Were guys physically fit? And tell me how important you think it is to be physically fit on a fire department.
So, I mean, where I started, like that station 30, the guys were pretty fit. They were a little younger, so even though like I was the new guy, right, at like 30, 31, like they were still, give or take a couple of years. So still in, full of piss and vinegar, still working out on shift, like doing all the things, right? But obviously, much like anywhere else, like you start making tours around or seeing other guys, and it's like, holy fuck, these guys are dog shit, bro. Like, they're not taking care of themselves. They're heavily overweight. Like if I saw you out in public and you said you were a firefighter, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, but I mean, dude, I always, try, just like they tell us to take fucking pride in everything else we do, the engine, our equipment, the station. Why the fuck would you not take pride in your physical appearance? And obviously that has a direct reflection in your ability to do the job. Like you can't tell me that you're 50, 60 pounds overweight and that you're going to be able to keep up with me. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way.
No way. None of your techniques, none of your knowledge that you think you have or experience that you say you have is going to be able to keep up with me. No way.
Yeah. And I mean, and granted, I'm not some fucking old salt dog, but it's like, like as a fireman, a younger fireman, like that is literally all you have to offer. Like you show up, you have zero experience, you're still fucking dumb as shit for the most part. Like, but you better be able to work. Like you better be able to carry some shit, move some shit, and keep fucking going. Your job as a fireman in that entry level is like to be in shape, like
Absolutely.
to be a workhorse.
That's the minimum. That's the minimum standard, in my opinion, is to be in shape.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like a wildland fire, like there's a lot of digging going on and cutting down trees and shit like that.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we have obviously there's different, just like engine companies and stuff like that, or the order of which you show up to the fire. Sometimes it'll dictate what your job is.
Gotcha.
But typically, like the primary, if you're the first, let's say 1 to 2 engines there, your primary job is punch and hose. You're getting line out. You're trying to get water on fire and slow the growth of the fire. And then anybody else coming up behind you is starting to cut line. So, removing, cutting down to bare mineral soil. So, and nothing can continue to move across. And then you have some of maybe the more hand crew guys that are, bucking trees and cutting, brush with chainsaw and pulling and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's a very, very different dynamic, but it's still, in a sense, it's still the same. It's just obviously roles and responsibilities are a bit different, just as if it were a structure fire and you have, first in, second in, third in, it's just obviously those levels of expectations of, okay, we're the fucking 5th or 6th engine here. Where are you putting us? Okay. What are you, we punching hose? Are we cutting line? Where do we running water? What are we doing?
Right. But just what you're saying is you're carrying 80 pounds worth of hose on your back. You're digging holes, you're cutting trees. You got to be seriously in shape to do that stuff. That's a really, really, like, it's physical to push a hose down a hallway in the heat and whatever. Like, you need to, like, but to do that, you're not just fighting fire. You're working, you're digging, you're fucking digging. You're really doing work.
Yeah. It's a lot of work, bro. Like it's fucking hard. And it's not like you're doing it out on flat ground. Like you're doing that. You're going up the fucking side of a hill, in most cases, like steep, I've been on some really fucking steep fires and like, where you're fucking basically crawling up on, hands and knees, pulling a hose in one hand or trying to, and then you get to a certain point, you anchor the fucking hose down, like, and then people claw up the hose so they can get up the hose lay. Like,
oh wow,
it's a lot of work, bro. Like if you are not at least in decent shape, like you are going to be fucking miserable because it's hard work, and it's hot out here in the summer, bro. Like it's triple digits is not uncommon, and then you're out there working in it, in the smoke, in the fire, in additional heat, and you're carrying 80 pounds of hose, a tool, and then typically your web gear, which is anywhere between 10 and 20 pounds, depending on how much shit you decide to carry in that, so you're strapped up.
No Scott packs, air packs on a wildland fire?
No. The only time that we do that is if we're getting into grass into structure. Gotcha. So then we're getting, a non-organic materials burning, which is where you want to protect all your airways and stuff like that.
All right. So you're in a firehouse. You call it a firehouse or a fire station?
Well,
yeah. It's different places at different terms.
Yeah. I mean, dude, obviously all the guys will call it the house. So we're going back to the house, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But, and then sometimes station 15, station 30, you know what I mean? But yeah, it kind of floats in and out per se.
Yeah, we are, for us, it's the firehouse because that's our second home. TVs, bathrooms, we eat together, we sleep together.
Yeah.
You guys might shower together, but that's their business. But I always felt like when I hear somebody say, "Oh, going back to the fire station," the station felt like work to me. Yeah, like, I got to go back to work. Like going to the firehouse wasn't work. It was to be with my brothers and to have fun and do the job and all that stuff. So I'm always curious as to what other guys call it.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I'm losing my train of thought. No, I'm not. All right. So when did you start thinking about getting into online coaching and the fitness industry and all that stuff?
Yeah. So I think I'd wrapped up my first or second season with CalFire, and I was, working through the winter time in the reserve program. So basically year round, but still not like full time. I was continuing to apply and test at other departments. Like I really wanted to get on with a different department for a while and continue on with my career. And it just wasn't happening, and I needed to make, a little more money, they did a big hiring, so some of the overtime that I was getting that I was basically depending on, was not coming, and so I was like, well, I need to make some extra scratch, and I'm not really in a position where I can go take up another fucking job, because of conflicting schedules. So it's like either start a side hustle or get on with a department that pays more, you know. And I started seeing some of the online coaching stuff get prevalent and pop up, and I'm like, whoa, dude, like this is kind of cool, and I actually have background, experience, knowledge in this. So if these guys are fucking doing it, like I can at least try. I just kind of gave myself a reason to commit to it. I'm like, well, I mean, I can get back in better shape. I can start posting on social media. I can get loud. I can help some people. And I mean, first and foremost, like my initial, angle was to make sure, hopefully get some firefighters back in shape. I started, I did my best to like uphold all the fitness standards at our house. We had this thing called a war board in the gym where we had like specific workouts or exercises or hikes or runs, and you had to fucking put your score on the board, and you holding
people accountable, man.
You didn't want to be, a bottom dweller. Like you wanted to be up at the top of the niche, per se, or at least if you gave a fuck, which hopefully, and I tried to bring a level of nutritional awareness into the house as well, like teaching people macros, calories, eating properly, and things of that nature. And
we're guys like in the firehouses where sometimes the senior guys are the fucking grumpy, salty guys. With some of those guys, and we had a senior guy that was the best. He was in shape and everything. So, did you have any senior guys and salty guys that when you started these programs with the younger guys or with anybody, they giving you shit about it? Like, who the fuck do you think you are, bro? Like, you gonna try and be this, that, the other thing?
A little bit, but not too much. Because at that house, right at Station 30. Like that was already kind of the culture, right? Yeah. We wanted hardworking firemen. We didn't want, guys who just were there to be there. And, it was almost like a draft, you know what I mean? Like you didn't end up there by accident. Like people, they picked you out of, the pool in a sense, at least up until like when I was still working there. Like it was a desirable place to go work as a firefighter. Because of the program, because of the culture. But other houses, you know, like if I was going there, like not everybody would work out, you know, not everybody would be on the same page, you know, per se. So it was the dynamic is different everywhere, as I'm sure it is with you guys. But you know, like that was like still in my head and my heart, like that was my home. You know what I mean? And I tried to take that culture, that attitude, the things that we did there everywhere that I went, you know, whether I was covering or working at a different assignment.
You'd show up and guys would be like, "Oh, fucking Brad's here, man. Now we got to fucking work out."
Yeah. Or on a flip side of that coin, sometimes other engineers or captains would send us their trouble firefighters and we'd break them the fuck off for a shift and send them home, you know, like, and be like, hey, this is what it's supposed to be like when you show up for your 3-day tour, bro. Like you clean, you do your daily duties, you know, we train and we train hard, you know, hopefully we go run a couple good calls, maybe a fire. We chill out, we learn, you know, and repeat, you know.
Yeah. Wash, rinse, repeat, man. Just keep fucking doing the same stuff every day. So you start Reliant Fitness is your company, your online company, coaching and mentorship and fitness and all that stuff. How did all that kind of come together? You know, and it was while you were a fireman and doing this stuff.
Yeah. So I started like filming just some of my station workouts and putting them up on Instagram, and obviously, you know, having some conversations, slowly acquiring a couple paying clients that were, you know, maybe paying me $100-200 a month, you know, just that's a little bit extra. Cause that was like my primary goal was like, if I could make a couple extra $100 a month, that would change my life. Yeah. And, then I saw obviously a handful of people in the space who were doing really well, offering levels of mentorship, you know, like, hey, like work with me to do X, Y, and Z with your business, or I'll bring you up on game, like the things that I'm doing. So I got involved with this character named Wes Watson, which maybe you've heard of him. He's on a wicked spiral downgrade right now. Or has been. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy to watch, but
I knew that I think you were involved with him in the early stages, which a lot of people gravitated toward him.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about him. That's cool, man. That's up to you.
I mean, dude, at the time, you know, everything that he was doing was, you know, at least looking like it was on par. You know, he was walking the walk and talking the talk and, you know, doing good things, and all of his content was resonating in ways that I felt appropriate. So, and I mean, let's not lie, like he was the swinging dick on Instagram, bro. Like, you know, like he had all the attention per se. And I'm like, if I could get a fraction of that and learn how to do it or manage it, then I'll be just fine. And that was like kind of what I did is I paid, you know, paid for his mentorship and went to a few of his masterminds, like doled out a lot of cash, you know, like same idea. Like I went in with the fire department, like went all in. You know, physically, I went all in, like physically and financially on this.
Wow, you took a chance, man. You took a big chance.
I took a big fucking chance, honestly.
Yeah, man. That's like people must have been like, not to interrupt you. People must have been like, I know if I left before I started this, guys would have been like, "What the fuck are you doing, man? You're gonna leave the fire department, a pension, benefits. You got a family." You took a huge chance. That's a big risk, man, but that's ballsy, bro.
Well, and here, I mean, my goal wasn't to leave, you know, it was to do it in party too, you know, and it just got to a point where it's like, I either, you know, pull the trigger and go all in on my business, or I commit to, you know, just kind of balancing the two. And so back to the Wes Watson thing, just real quick, because, you know, I'll pay respect where respect is due. He did help me get going. You know, some of the things that he implemented or helped me implement, you know, were very useful at the time, you know, but let's not forget, you know, like I did pay for it, and you know, it is a service. It's not like he broed me down or gave it to me for free. I paid him $3,000 for his initial mentorship, which was a fucking 15-minute Zoom call and a text message on shit that I was basically already doing. And you know, like where most people would have fucking been like, what the fuck? That's all I get. You know, and like throwing a fit, done this and that. I'm like, well, I'll find a way to make this work. You know, like the money ain't coming back, and I'm not going to sit here and piss and moan. I'm going to find a way to make this work. Yeah. And then he started offering those masterminds at his place in San Diego. And that was $10,000. And I basically threw down to go for a weekend because I knew, or at least something was telling me, conscious was telling me, like, if I can get out, like get my name my image and my voice and ethic in front of more people, which is basically all it was. It was like a paid collaboration. You know what I mean? Like, let me come hang out. I'll broadcast you across my pages, and hopefully your business gets some business, you know? And it was a major help for me, you know, like that changed the trajectory of everything, because I was able to fucking generate a lot more attention, and I was able to retain it, and kept going. I went to 3 of those motherfuckers, bro.
Wow.
3. And
at 10 grand a clip, huh?
10 grand a pop, you know. And I basically was still working as a firefighter, you know, like, so but I was generating a decent amount of money from my coaching. So in my mind, I was just reinvesting in the business.
Okay.
And I was like, you know, I'm making some money now. I'm doing okay. I need to continue to grow, because every time I do this, I'm getting X back, you know, or per se. And then I got to a point where, you know, I was same thing. I went to a mastermind in Miami. It wasn't Wes's mastermind. He was just involved in it. And there's a lot of other, you know, big time entrepreneurs, business owner guys making fucking stupid money, you know. And I got introduced to this man. His name is Mark. And the dude's a savage. Like, when I went in there and I started talking to some people, I'm like, who's the biggest fucking killer in this goddamn room? And they're like, that guy. And I walked I fucking walked right up to him, shook his hand, introduced myself and this and that. And then we got down to chopping it up.
Nice.
And same thing. He's like, well, you know, how much longer you see yourself, you know, being a firefighter? And I was like, dude, you know, I would say easy another 5 years. And even then I felt pretty stupid saying 5 years, because I'd only been in for like 3. And he's like, I would be surprised if you make it another 5 months. And I was like, whoa,
really? Wow.
Yeah. And he's like, I've seen you on social media. I see what you're doing, you know, and like, let's talk numbers, bro. Like, you know, what did your business generate last month? What were you been able to generate last quarter? You know, like things that I wasn't paying attention to really. Like, I mean, I knew money was coming in, but like I was not business savvy, you know?
Right. I was going to ask you about like now this is becoming, instead of just having fun, not just having fun, gaining some money, teaching people, you know, with a passion, changing people's lives. But now all of a sudden it's becoming a business. And, you know, you're like, you got to start watching and noticing this stuff. And how do I run a fucking business? Right. And coach and have a family and still be a fireman. Yeah. So how the fuck did that work? I mean, because I don't know if I could do that shit.
Yeah. I mean, it was tough, dude. I mean, but like, you know, it was the nature of the beast that I was in, you know, like, like I said, we're unfortunately, kind of a slower county. Right. So there was a lot of stuff that I was able to do on shift. You know, like, and it just depended on who I was working with. And I'm like, hey, dude, if you're fucking all your shit's done and I know you're on top of your game, like, do whatever you got to do, you know, like, you know, so I would be able to double down a little bit, you know, in the evenings and do some of my coaching stuff or do some of my business stuff while I was on duty if we weren't obviously occupied, you know. But basically the conversation we had when I was talking to Mark in Miami is like, you know, like, you did X amount last month and you've done basically collectively over the last quarter. Now, what the fuck do you think you could do if you went 100% in on your own business and you weren't splitting time and attention with the FD? And I was like, ooh, yeah, like, that's pretty awesome to think about. And that was not even a perspective or a thought in my mind. I just always thought that I would do both, you know, like, you know,
like, just like every other farmer's got side jobs, second jobs, you know,
right. You know, I just figured I would do both. I'm like, well, you know, like the whole firefighter thing is a big part of who I am and what I do and what I provide. Like, I would feel weird leaving that behind. And he goes, no, man, it's not. It's part of growth. You know, like, that's part of it. You know, like, it's, you know, you're not necessarily leaving anything. It served as a stepping stone. It brought you to where you are now. And now you make a decision, you know, like, and so basically I went home, sat on that for a couple days and went and turned in my 2 weeks, you know, and
you made the decision.
Made the decision to go all in on my business, and I turned down 2 promotions as well. I didn't just fucking turn in my 2 weeks. I turned down 2 promotions and put in my 2 weeks. People were like, "What the fuck are you doing, bro? Like,
are you out of your fucking mind?"
Oh yeah, they thought I was fucking nuts for sure, you know. And then a couple of guys were like, I see you, bro. Like, I know what you're doing. Go fucking do it. Like, you know, and if for some reason it doesn't work out, pick right back up. Like nobody here is going to tell you that you can't come back. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So, and I mean, I left on good rapport with like everybody except for like 2 people.
There's always going to be those guys that just don't want to see you succeed in life. They're just unhappy with themselves, man. There's always going to be fucking people like that.
Well, yeah. And I mean, you know, they just, and call it what it is, bro. Like, I think because there was a couple times I clapped back at some older gentlemen, and it's because I'm not a fucking kid, bro. Like, I came into this as a grown ass man, and I refuse to be talked down to. I don't care what the fuck is on your collar or on your helmet. I'm a man, you know, and you know, I'm in all respects, you know, not trying to sound like a fucking asshole or cocky son of a bitch. I'm one of the best motherfuckers you've got. So don't fucking sit there and talk down to me because I started posting some shit on social media, and I'm basically, you know, promoting health, wellness, sobriety, and all these things that are only going to make me more of a force here, you know? So I let a couple of them have it, you know, let them have my fucking opinion. And I was like, all right, cool. You know, like this, at this point, this is an option. Like, you know, like this is, I'm doing, you know, I'm doing this because I love it, not because I have to. And then, you know, turned in my 2 weeks, went all in on my shit. And it's been a blessing ever since, man. It did exactly what I was praying that it would do, is just continue to grow and expand and provide.
Nice. We're going to get that. I want to get into that in a second, but you'd mentioned sobriety.
Yes.
How long you been sober now?
3 years, a little over 3 years.
Fucking A, dude. Awesome. That's great stuff, man. That is not easy.
Yeah.
Not easy, especially in a profession that you were in and I was in. It's a big drinking job, you know, and that's not easy. So kudos to you. So, were you having like issues while you're on the fire department, like with your sobriety, and when did all that kind of coincide?
No, fortunately, all my issues with alcohol were before I got into the fire service. The fire service was like my big initial stand on like making change in my life. You know what I mean? Like kind of leaving that mentality and some of that lifestyle in the past. I mean, it still lingered, right? Like I still would drink, I still would party, I would still get physical from time to time with people with opposing, you know, or loudmouths or opposing views. But it was the big transition in my life and in my mind where I'm like, if I commit to this, that can't exist anymore. And then I just made the hard decision where I'm like, it all has to go. It's all done. You know, like I'm not drinking anymore. I'm not smoking anymore. I'm not doing any of these things that are necessarily going to take away from my potential. You know, I've spent fucking 17 years rocking and rolling and living like a fucking rock star, even though I'm not one. What the fuck can I do if I dedicate even a couple years to sobriety and focusing on building my life up? Was there like a rock bottom type issue, or was it like just a culmination of things that you led up and you said, yeah, fuck this, man, I ain't doing this shit no more? It was kind of accumulation of things. You know, there was a couple incidences that took place where I got really lucky. You know, a couple altercations, if you will. You know, and then my daughter, you know, being born, I found out I was having a little girl, and I was like, okay, like I need to become more of a man if I'm going to raise a little girl, you know, and this shit can't exist in my life anymore if I'm going to be that guy. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome, dude. And I mean, listen, when I retired, I was I wouldn't say I was a heavy drinker, but I've fucking cut my drinking down 90%. You know, like I'd get home from work after 24 and be like, it's Tuesday night, but yeah, no, man, that's Friday to me because I just came off a 24-hour shift. Let's have a glass of fucking whatever or beer or something. And and I just, as the older I get, the less I even want it, you know. But I still have a cocktail from, you know, now and again. Not gonna lie. There's nothing wrong with it, bro. I mean, if you can control yourself on it, because that was the factor for me, is I couldn't control myself on it. Like, I wasn't the kind of drinker that would come home and drink like every day, or I had to get my fix. But when I would drink, I would fucking drink, you know, it wasn't one or two. It was like whatever the fuck is in the house, or, you know, how far is the liquor store, you know, like it was going until I couldn't stand, breathe, whatever.
Yeah. Just like people from your past that you were out, boozing with all the time. How did they feel about you getting sober? And they support you, or they give you shit, or what?
I mean, I got both, like I got some shit from people like, oh, what? You're really going to fucking hang it up? Like, how long do you think that's going to last? Where do you think this fucking whole Instagram thing's going to go? Like all the doubt and stuff like that. But, then it's like the people who really like knew me like inside and out and have been around me for a while. They're like, I think it's a good move, bro. Cause you're a fucking knucklehead when you're drinking. Like,
Man. I've seen some of the pictures on Instagram that you put up. I'm like, oh, that looks like a tough one. And that one, so.
Yeah. I like to, well, I mean, dude, before when I was still drinking heavy, I didn't necessarily have some of the outlets that I have today. So all of that angst and aggression would come out then. When I didn't have the self-control or the discipline to lock it in, and I would get in fights or I would do some stupid shit, or go take it a little too far, and,
oh, you Irish? You got Irish background?
Irish and Scottish, bro. So
Irish and Scottish, bro. That's what they do. They drink and fight. It's my birthright. Yeah.
Pretty much, and that was my excuse for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not my fault. It's my heritage,
man, it's not my fault.
And then I did obviously flip the script and take ownership for being a fucking dumbass, like.
Yeah. So, all right. So Reliant Fitness is starting to take off.
Yeah.
Right. You're getting heavy on Instagram and it's kicking off. How did you feel about being on social media and your face out there and all that stuff and talking on it every day and just trying to get clients? Because for me, it's taken me a while. Like, I'm a pretty social guy. I feel like I can talk to anybody and have fun, but like starting to put myself out on social media, I'm like, what are my friends going to say? What are my family going to say? People that I love, they start giving me shit. Like, what are you doing? So did that happen with you?
Yeah. I mean, obviously like it's uncomfortable, right? Like it's very, especially from the world that we come from and the age that we grew up in, like continuously putting that stuff out there is like, bro, what the fuck? Like I used to hate social media. Like I thought the idea of letting people know like where I was and where I was doing, I'm like, this is fucking retarded. Like mainly for the sense that I was like typically up to no good, so I'm like, I don't want people fucking knowing where I'm at, what I'm doing, because then they're just going to tie me back to fucking this and that, but I saw obviously some of the power behind it if used correctly, and wanted to start, sharing some of the messages or some of the things that I, dealt with and how I combated it or made it through it. And it's uncomfortable, dude. Like talking about some of the things that most people don't want to talk about, and then putting it out there for the world to hear, see, judge, etc. But for every fucking post that I would share that was like, fuck, man, I don't know about that one. There might be one person or two people that say some smart ass shit, but then I'll usually get 10 or 20 messages of someone who'd be like, bro, I needed to hear that shit today. And that's what it's about. It's not about you per se. It's not about your family or the people that you grew up with, whatever judgmental bullshit that they might shine down on you. It's about the person who follows or tunes in or somehow comes across your content, and what you did or say or like explain helps them in their immediate situation.
For sure. You've definitely put up posts in the past that I've been like, oh man, that I feel that one. Now, I definitely relate to you on social media with your program and everything that you say and all that stuff, because you're like a regular guy. Like you're transparent, you're honest, and you're like, you know what, man, before I start this cut, I'm going to fucking In-N-Out Burger and I'm having 2 burgers, and you're honest. Like most shit out there, people are just, you could tell it's all bullshit, man. But I definitely relate to you with your transparency and honesty, Thank you. For sure. Yeah, man, for sure. What is, now let's see. So you get Reliant Fitness. Let's get the logo up here. Yeah. Boom. Love it. Love it. I know it's blocking our faces, all pretty little faces.
It's all good.
How'd you get the name Reliant Fitness and how'd that,
So, I mean, relative to what we're doing right now, I was sitting at the kitchen table of the firehouse and
that's what I'm talking about.
And it kind of just came to me, man, because I, at the time, I wasn't necessarily thinking so much about like branding or being like this big online coach. You know, I was like, you know, like my mission is to be the most reliable firefighter, the most reliable father. You know, like all these things are going to make me better at everything I do every single day. Like I want to show up to work, and I want my fucking, you know, my commanding officers, engineer, captain, knowing like, oh, Brad's on today, like our shit's gonna get fucking handled. You know, like I can give him this job, this task, this responsibility, and I know it's gonna get done and get done well. You know, and that was the premise of it. You know, it was like I wanted to be the best version of self. So best firefighter, best father, best husband, fiance, whatever you want to call it at the time. Like, and that's where Reliant came from at the time. And I've stuck with it ever since.
Nice. It's awesome. I love it, man. I'm having a blast here. I really am. Like I'm like watch, like, you know, sometimes like you can watch somebody for so long, or so people watch certain movies and they think they know those people. Like I watch your stuff and I'm like, this is gonna be like, I feel like I know the guy.
well, that's good. I mean, that's what I want my content to do is like, you know, you see all sides of me in a sense, you know, and it helps, you know, in a lot of cases, like outside of just like obviously acquiring clientele and stuff, but it's like you build a deeper rooted level of trust when you show all the different sides, and it's not all highlight reels. It's not all perfectly polished. You know, it's like, you know, like, hey bro, like I'm a fucking human being too. Like, you know, like I have off days, you know, I have cheat meals. I have fuck it moments, you know, like I've just got better at managing them than most. You know.
All right. So quick question. Let's have I want to ask you a quick question, and kind of funny. So what's Mr. Dunn's? All right. I'm going to set the scenario for you. All right. It's the holidays. Okay. Maybe close to Christmas. You're at grandma's house. The kids are around, maybe putting them to bed. It's quiet. The wife's on the couch watching TV, and, you know, grandma's got some nice food in the house, some snacks. What has Brad done? He looks around and he goes, I'm going to sneak this, you know, what's his guilty pleasure, his guilty snack pleasure?
Oh, man, dude, if I'm at my grandma's house, like it's game on. Because I mean, she makes like these insane homemade shortbread cookies, and I will fucking just get those in a big old glass of milk and just go to town.
Nice,
you know? But I'd say that's specifically at my grandmother's house. Like.
Yeah. I knew it. I knew you were at grandma's, man. But but that's what makes you so relatable, dude. You know, that's what makes like real people. Hundreds of clients that you've had, maybe thousands. I don't know. But that's what makes you relatable, because you're like, you know what? I'm a regular guy. Like I'm gonna fucking grandma's cookies, man. I'm not turning them down, man. I could get hit by a bus tomorrow, and if I'm lying in the street, I go, I should have had grandma's cookies. You know what I mean? But regular people, in my opinion, relate to shit like that. You're not like so strict where it's, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, there's a time and a place to be, you know, operate in absolutes. But I usually tell my clients, I'm like, look, guys, like, this is not about perfection. This is about progress. You know, like none of my clients are bodybuilders. Nobody's getting on stage. Nobody's competing. You know, this is, I generally use the term lifestyle course, because it is a lifestyle, you know, and if I can get you to operate, you know, in the 90-10 or 80-20% lifestyle, then we're going to be just fine. And what I say is like ideally 90-10, 90% of your decisions around food are purpose performance driven, and 10% are pleasure. You know, what does that break down? I don't know. Usually one cheat meal a week, you know, maybe two, depending on what we're trying to do with the goal. But it's like, it gives you something to look forward to. It gives you a chance to be fucking human, and you don't have to be guilty. You know, like we don't have to be perfect all the fucking time, you know, unless we're going for a steadfast fucking goal. And I mean, dude, I'm such a fucking fat kid at heart. Like I love food. You know, like I love food. Like, and, you know,
bro, you put up, I'm sorry to cut you off, man, but I was laughing at one the other day. You had Chipotle maybe, or you bought a couple Chipotles, and you were like, this is delicious. And I bought another one, and you were like, and all you people talking about seed oils, shut the fuck up. I was like, I think that's when I was like, I got to see if this guy will talk to me, man. That was but that's great, man. It's awesome.
So it's like, that's kind of like what I try to get my clients to do. And it's just bringing a level of awareness into the decisions that they make, versus just letting ourselves do whatever the fuck we want most of the time. You know,
what's a common misconception between online coaching and just being on social media? You know, like what do they call an influencer or whatever?
Influencer. Yeah. So I mean, I always try to, you know, like anti-influencer, right? Like I'm not a fucking influencer, even though like I am speaking influence into the world, if you say, because at least in my mind, and this is what I try to get people to understand too, is influencers are getting paid to promote other people's products. I am out here promoting my business, my brand, my services. Nobody else is fucking paying me shit. You know, like I make a living off of what I do basically alone, you know, like and a lot of those influencers are basically getting commissions, monthly checks, you know, because they're pushing a certain amount of content for a particular brand or company. And I haven't let anybody take wage over my page because I'm like, this is my fucking shit. Like, no, there's nobody out there that's going to pay me more than what I generate on my own and be able to dictate what I say, what I share, and when I share it. You know? So that's my whole thing with obviously you know, influencers versus like coaching or branding or whatever, personal brands per se. Gotcha.
That's it, because people will just see you on social media and be like, oh, you know, whatever. But that's what social media can be great. It can also be a fucking shithole, total shithole.
There's a lot of fucking liars out there, bro, unfortunately, but that shit will all come out in the wash. You know what I mean? Like, that's another reason why I've just been like, everything I do is 100% me. Because dude, when you have to create some sort of duality, like you can only keep that act rolling for so fucking long. But it's like, I could be me every day of the week. Like, you know,
I'm me when I have a good day. I'm me when I have a bad day. This is me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And every once in a while I'll let some shit fly that just is like, you know, maybe like a little off canter, a little edgy, if you will. And then it just sorts the herd out. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like not to sound like some big swinging dick, but it's like, dude, I've got over 700,000 followers on Instagram. Like, I don't give a fuck if 100 or 200 people don't like what I have to say. Like, this ain't for you then. Like, feel free to leave, you know?
100%, man. Yeah, for sure. Your clients, you have men and women clients, yes?
Yes.
Are the women more apprehensive to join or to look into your online coaching program?
I would say yes. I mean, my client base is male dominated 100%, but I do have a handful of really awesome women that I work with. But I think most women are intimidated. You know, whether they think it's going to be too intense or too brash, or, you know, they think I'm going to fucking try to just run them into the ground. But that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I still get plenty of women are like, do you work with females? Do you work? I'm like, yeah, dude, my bread and butter is typically men between the ages of like 30 and 50, but I work with women if they're determined and dedicated, you know, like, because you know, I'm not going to necessarily sit here and be fragile with you, but I'm going to tell you everything that you need to do and how to do it effectively.
Do you have like an individual program for each client, like something specific toward them, or is it kind of
sometimes
you generally start them? All right, generally, let's start with this, and then we'll dial it into something specific to you.
Yeah, that's typically how I do it. So I have, you know, so a large majority of my clients are people who have never necessarily worked out in any sort of regimented fashion, or that it's been a long time. They're like well, you know, I used to work out in high school or college, so it's been 15 or 20 years, you know. So basically I like to start them out with just almost a very generalized schedule, if you will. And it's like, hey, like, you know, like you don't need some sort of crazy one-off program right now. Like, you literally just need to shut up and show up. Like, that's it, you know. And, you know, here's your nutrition plan. Here's your meal plan, like calories, macros, how you should eat this throughout the day, you know, and these servings from these foods, you know, pay more attention to the food than the workouts right now. And then obviously, as they start to gain a level of confidence, experience, and consistency in their training, then we can kind of get into some of the more advanced practices. But if I have guys that are coming in that are already in pretty damn good shape and they're looking to just take it to that next level, then obviously giving them a little bit different assignment than somebody who hasn't worked out in 10, 15, 20 years.
Right. What's one of the major or common excuses you hear for people? Number one, not starting a program like yours, or quitting in the middle of the program, being like, I can't fucking do this no more.
Yeah. So the most common one is usually they get too much into the absolutes. They think that they have to be doing this all the time, right?
Mm.
So it's like almost like overwhelming for them. Like I have to, prep, weigh, track my food, work out every day. I have to do all of this forever? And they kind of just like get into their head about it. And I'm like, no, not forever, but you should do it for a period of time, and then we can, when we get through, like, typically the only time I really want people to be very punctual with those things is when we're working through a dieting phase, a fat loss phase, because what isn't measured isn't managed, and how are you going to lose weight or get in amazing shape if you're not tracking these things? Like, you track your fucking finances, right? Like, or at least to some degrry. Why would you not track what you put in your fucking mouth? So it's like, and people just kind of like, I don't know, I just don't have the time. I just don't, the mental bandwidth, this and that. Or they just, from the outside looking in, people are like, well, I would never pay somebody to do those things. And I'm like, well, if you know so much, from all this information we're surrounded by, then why aren't you fucking there yet? And a lot of people think that they can do it on their own. And it's like, that's great, but very few people can. And if you look across time, and I'm not saying like I'm like this greatest fucking coach of all time, but it's like, look at every amazing fucking athlete, world leader. They always had a coach or a mentor. They had somebody in their corner that was pushing them, demanding more from them, or giving them a level of structure and guidance to get to that next level. And, like I said, I'm not like the world's best fucking coach or over here changing the dynamic of professional fucking sports. But it's like, I've taken a lot of people from a very low place and changed their life in 3 to 6 months, dramatically. Yeah. And, like, granted, I'm very involved with my clients. Like, this is not some, printer paper PDF fucking program that you download off of YouTube. Like, I'm working with my people like all day, every day through Zoom calls, through group calls, through messaging, like making sure that they're lined out, taken care of, and that they understand what their assignments are and how to approach them correctly.
Yeah.
I would be, I would venture to say, I heavily doubt there's anybody in the online space that has as big of a business as me, that is as involved as I am on the day-to-day basis with my people.
Yeah, man. That's for sure. Well, for sure. 100%. Fucking, that is, it's amazing stuff that you're doing. You're helping people, saving lives. You're really saving lives out there, man. Getting people fucking jacked. It must be very rewarding when people are like, dude, I'm 6 months sober. I'm down 25 pounds. I'm looking great. My wife says I look great, so that must be really, really rewarding.
Bro, it's the coolest fucking thing ever. And that a lot of that, like, I was fearful of that, like, fulfillment, like leaving the fire department. Cause I was like, dude, I love fucking running calls and, working with my boys and being of service. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that, in this capacity. And I've completely shadowed it, the level of fulfillment and satisfaction that I get from statements like that from people are like, bro, you changed my fucking life. You got me into a physical and mental space that I never even thought possible for myself, whether it's like a significant amount of weight loss or sobriety, or, because a big part of it, right, is like, it's not like I'm teaching anything that's not super well known. It's just, it's making the commitment to it and working amongst other people to make it happen in a very structured manner with a pace, and as we almost simplify it, what I mean? Like, simplify your lifestyle, where it's like, hey, these are your workouts. This is what you need to eat. We meet at, this day, this time to convene and go over these things and make sure everything's on par, and I'll make adjustments as needed. Like, when people simplify their life versus trying to keep up with all the bullshit that's not important, they get a level of clarity, and they're able to focus on goals and outside things that they never necessarily got to focus in on, because they're continuously clouding their vision with alcohol or fast food, or they're going out, so that free time that they would excuse themselves to go blow off steam is now being used in a creative way, where they're like, dude, I can start a business. I can start this. Yeah. I've had a handful of guys that come through my program, and they're not only did they get in great shape and change their life, but then they're like, I added to my business. I started a new business because I have all this time, energy, clarity, and now I'm funneling all this discipline into a new aspect of my life. because the biggest thing that I like to see with clients, right, is when at first everything's difficult. It's a very abrupt, aggressive life change for most. We're training, 5-6 days a week. We're doing all the food stuff. We're meeting on calls regularly. You're almost severing ties with everything you've known prior and going all in on this. Yeah. And it's difficult for people for a couple weeks, right? But I tell them, like, it's only hard until it's habit, and then once it's habit, then it's like you start to take that same focus, that same dedication and discipline into everything that you fucking do. You show up at work different. You show up for your family different. You show up for yourself different, because you have this almost compounded momentum and energy, and you're just looking for places to push it, and people push, and they've never necessarily been in a point in their life where they're like, fuck, dude, I can do a lot more than I gave myself credit for.
Yeah, man. That's great stuff. Great stuff. Reliant Fitness, strictly online coaching, or do you got any personal?
I mean, so I don't really do any sort of in-person stuff.
Got the gym here.
I got the private gym in St. Louis. So basically what'll happen is clients will come through periodically. So I'll have clients that are either traveling and passing through, or something like that, and they'll be like, hey man, like, I'm coming through the area, time day, can we grab a workout? And as long as it lines up with my schedule, what I've got going on, I'm like, yeah, bro, let's train, but it's usually not like open invitation.
Gotcha. Yeah. So there's no membership to that gym there.
Not right now. I mean, that's a project I'm working on. I do, because this is kind of a goal for this year. So over the next month or two, I'm going to start working at, some sort of exclusive membership to that facility in San Luis Obispo, where it's like, hey, I'm only taking on like 40 or 50 people, paying X amount a month, and you have 24-hour access to this place. And then basically that will at least pay for itself and then start to generate a little extra income. But my goal is I bought this property in September, right? So we have 2 acres. I want to build another gym on the back acre in like a 2,500, 3,000 square foot building, like barn dominium style building, and bring the whole operation home.
Oh, wow.
And that basically will be, the gym. Ideally, I'll have my gym here on the property where I can get like my wife and my kids more involved, because it's fucking here, and it'll save me some time of like, going back and forth and shit. And then the gym that's already, in motion, built, existing, is a revenue stream.
Right. So I was going to ask you, like, where do you see Reliant in 5 years? Like a franchise, maybe a couple of gyms open across SoCal, or?
That would be super cool. I mean, yeah, like I would like to do something like that, where I have like maybe some sort of commercial level facility where people can have like a large membership base too. But I mean, it's just, my primary focus is continuing to help people in the capacity that I'm already practicing, like that more direct, connection per se, versus, just opening up another facility for people to go to, because I wanted to do that for a while, and then my buddy opened up a really nice gym in town here, and I'm like, I don't know if I can keep up with that, bro, but like really
open it
nice
up right next to his. That's all. Just
but I mean, like, dude, like, well, that was part of the reason I opened up my gym, because like the area that I live in, we don't have any like really nice, like destination style gyms where it's like badass equipment, badass aesthetic, kind of like, very old school bodybuilder-esque, dudes rolling around their shirts off, maybe filming some work. We didn't have
these guys, like these guys here.
Yeah.
another picture I stripped off of Instagram, man.
Yeah.
So who's in this picture? So
my boy Jimmy Queen, my buddy David Thomas, and this other gentleman named Ryan. He's the one with the least amount of tattoos. So David and I have been friends for quite some time. We used to run amok together and do some debauchery back in the day. I think he's like upwards of 7, 8, or 9 years sober. He's got two or three kids himself, happily married, starting an apparel company or 2 apparel companies. Jimmy Queen is one of my very, very good friends. He's also an absolute powerhouse of an individual in real life and on Instagram. He runs a coaching business much like myself. And he was actually, he's probably my most successful student, if you will. I kind of mentored him in a sense when he was getting off the ground and getting his business rolling. and he has just continued to grow and expand at an extremely rapid rate and doing incredible things. So super proud of that dude.
That's fucking awesome, dude. I've seen him on Instagram and stuff like that. He seems like a cool dude to hang out with and stuff. And you guys are really getting at it. You had a race recently. Is this correct?
Yes, sir. So I just ran the Carlsbad half marathon last Sunday.
How was that, man? Big motherfucker like yourself running a fucking half marathon.
It was great, dude. Yeah? It was really good because a handful of my clients came out. I had like 20 people from Reliant come out and run either the half or the 5K. And it was super rad to not only get to meet them in person, because pretty much everything we do is online, So prior to this event, there was maybe 2 of them that I had met in person. And then, do something difficult together, like the bonds that are built in a level of suffering is unlike anything else, so that chosen level of suffering together is super rad. And like most of these guys have never done any sort of endurance level activity before. So this is a whole new ball game. One of my clients, his name is Will Johnson. He came out, he ran the half, and I want to give him some huge fucking kudos, bro, because he's been with me for about 1.5 years. He kind of fucked off the first 6 months, and then he really locked it in. He lost 175 pounds in 12 months, got sober, got connected with God, signed up for the half marathon, crushed the half marathon. And I didn't know that his dad had passed away a year or 2 prior running. So he like conquered that demon from going out and running a race and making it through with probably some anxiety and fear built up.
Holy shit. Yeah, man. Yeah. What's his name again?
Will Johnson.
Fucking Will Johnson, man. God bless you, dude. That's awesome stuff. Bro, just to do that, because I've run some half marathons. I was a big runner, growing up, and I stopped running when I retired because I was just getting bored with it. Right. But did you hit the wall at all in a half or what?
So not really, honestly. Like I was kind of impressed with myself, right? Because I didn't train as hard as I anticipated for the event. Like I ran a full marathon 2 years ago. And I trained my fucking balls off for that and smoked that thing. And then I committed to this half with some of my clients, and my training didn't necessarily go as planned. I didn't prioritize as many runs as I probably should have, but I was like, I'm still going to show up and run it with my clients. Like, I'm not going to fucking quit. I just might not get the time that I was hoping to get. And I showed up and locked in, got kind of warm, and then hit my pace and held my stride through the whole race. I kind of hit a wall like the last like 2 miles, but I was like, bro, like you're there. You're not allowed to feel right now. Just fucking cross that finish line, and then you can bitch and moan as much as you fucking want. But right now we're flipping the switch. We're going full retard, and we're hammering across that line.
Oh, don't you know you never go full retard?
But we did it, like I got my official time is like 1:39:53, and I basically held like a 7:37 pace across the whole race, which is
out fucking standing.
Pretty astounding for a guy who weighs 210 pounds and is built like a fucking brick shit house. Like
dude.
I'm not a runner, bro, but I'll go out there and hammer some shit.
Nice, bro. That's fucking great, man. That's a great pace. Now, all right, you do the run. I told you before I wanted to ask you about the cold plunge.
Yeah.
So you did the cold plunge the day after, man. How did you get into cold plunge? Because I'm a big cold plunge guy, man.
Yeah. So I mean, taking it back, dude, I mean, when I really started cold plunging was when I was training for that full marathon 2 years ago. So my body was just like hammered from running a bunch. Like when my weekly mileage started getting up, well over 20 miles a week, and weightlifting, I was like, I need to implement something that's either going to help me recover faster or not feel as much when I go run, so I got I got one of those Rubbermaid 100-gallon horse troughs.
Bro, that's what I have. That's what I have right now. Yeah.
Went and bought one from fucking Tractor Supply down the road here, set it outside. And, in the wintertime, it gets pretty fucking cold here, so it's not uncommon for it to drop, just below freezing. But what I would do is I had a bunch of the lunch pail freezer things, like a bunch of them, and I would freeze them. And then before I would go to bed, I'd go drop them all in there and, put the cover on. And then I would get up at 3 a.m. and go jump right in that bitch. And then I would either go run or go weight train.
Yeah. And feels fucking amazing, dude.
For sure. I was hooked, you know, like I never necessarily done it before or in any sort of consistent manner.
Yeah.
And it changed, you know, my mindset quite a bit, because it's like that one hard thing that you can do that only takes like a few minutes. And obviously that level of mastery, if you will, you know, over mind and breathing, because everything in your body is telling you to get the fuck out. You know, and you know, you sit there and you breathe through it, and you get that calming feeling, you know, and you kind of hit that, not a wall, I want to say, but you get a little bit of that thermal barrier. You can't really feel anymore, and you're like, dude, you know, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it just helped me kind of escape in my own mind, if you will. Like I just went somewhere else for that few minutes, and then it was like coming back to reality when I got out of it.
Yeah, no, bro, everything that you just said is exactly how I feel when I go in the plunge. Like, I'm up here in the Northeast and I'm breaking up ice every morning. The air temperature is actually colder than the fucking water temperature. And it's like, so a buddy of mine, you know, real quick, I don't want to talk about myself, but I'm gonna.
Do it.
So my buddy's like, every time I do a cold plunge, I was putting up a couple on Instagram or whatever, and he'd send me it's you know, if you cold plunge after a workout, you have 67% to lose your muscle mass. If you cold plunge first thing in the morning, you have an 87% chance of having a stroke. And I was like, bro, if I don't cold plunge, I have 100% chance of smacking the shit out of somebody when I walk outside. So it flips my mood. Yeah. And like you said, it just calms me. I can meditate. I practice. That's where I practice my gratitude. In the cold plunge, I say things out loud. I manifest. In that, you know, couple of minutes, I put it all together. And every day I stand there and I go, I don't want to get in this thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I love it. Yeah.
You know, and that's the cool thing about it too, is people will argue up and down about the effectiveness for it. And I've told people, I'm like, I don't give a fuck if it's effective or not. It makes me feel good. You know, it's like cocaine without doing the cocaine. So it's better for me than cocaine, you know, like
it makes me feel, it just flips my mood at least, even if it's just for like an hour or so, like I just change, like, you know, I've always had ups and downs in my life. Getting in that cold plunge flips my fucking mood, man. Yeah, for sure. All right, we're gonna start winding it down, but I got a couple of silly, stupid questions for you. Tattoos, bro.
Yes.
Where was you are blasted neck to toe. I don't know where else. I don't want to ask you where else, but what was your first tattoo and when did you get it?
So I was 17 and I got basically "Show No Mercy" across my chest in script from shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah.
And my mom fucking shit a brick. She thought it was fake, and I'm like, oh, it's very, very real, you know. And people were like, well, why "Show No Mercy"? And I didn't even know at the time that it was a Slayer album, which makes it even better. But you know, it was just kind of a mantra, or you know, credo, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You know, just like go out there and fucking give it all. You know, like show no mercy, bro. Like give it everything you fucking have. And, you know, as I don't say it as much anymore, but it's still very much a mindset that I keep. Like, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to give it 100% of everything I got.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, and then you just got fucking the itch.
Yeah.
Said, I'm doing this and that. Yeah.
Kept going. But it's like, dude, I mean, I grew up in a time where all the guys that I looked up to were heavily tattooed, you know, like, you know, I grew up in the 90s. So I was like still catching the end of the, you know, the punk rock era. And, you know, football, you know, athletes, you know, everybody was fucking tattooed up that I like looked up to, you know? And when I got to that age, you know, I was hanging around in tattoo shops, you know, a lot of my buddies were starting to tattoo. So it just came easy, you know, like, and it just didn't stop, you know, and just turned my body into a fucking little canvas, if you will, or not so little, man. But a canvas.
That's a pretty big canvas. Hey, so you mentioned Slayer, right? You're a big hard rock guy. You know, what kind of, you know, I watch you and I've heard you put on everything from fucking Slayer to Eric B. and Rakim, man. So tell me about the music selection.
I mean, I like a little bit of everything. Like my music selection is very wide, if you will. Like I'll do some heavy metal shit, you know, like, you know, something like, you know, Slayer, Pantera, maybe Black Sabbath. I fucking love Black Sabbath. And then I'll, you know, the next up will be, you know, Wu-Tang, Dilated Peoples, you know, some old school hip hop, you know, West Coast Connection or West Side Connection. Sorry. and yeah, it's everything, you know. And then obviously some of the classic rock and roll, CCR, AC/DC, you know, my Van Halen, you know, a lot of the music that I listen to is from my dad. You know, my dad was very, very much involved with music, like not necessarily as a musician, but he just loved music. He always had like tapes and records and CDs, and we were always jamming out, you know, before football games or, you know, on the weekend when we were doing house chores and shit like that. So a lot of the music that I've kind of gravitated to is because of him.
Now, I saw you with a Outsider's House from Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's a house. That's Danny Boy O'Connor owns that. Yeah. And so, you know, you House of Pain fan as well, or what?
I mean, not so much. I mean, I am, but that was actually a gift from a client.
Okay, cool.
So one of my clients lives out in Tulsa, or just outside of Tulsa. Yeah. And we started chopping up about, you know, Outsiders, the book, the life, you know, and he went to the house and sent me a fucking sweatshirt.
That's fucking cool, man. That's awesome, bro. Growing up a big House of Pain fan, you know, fucking all that stuff. I love it. So I think I keep them paid how many times I stream their fucking songs every day doing my burpees. Speaking of burpees, you pay date already today or what?
Yes, sir. I was just coming back from the gym when I hopped on here, man. I was rushing back. I did a quick little arm workout and my 100 burpees for the Friday payday, and then jumped right on here.
Outstanding. What's your favorite? What's your go-to? What's one of your favorite workout? Like, what do you love to do the most? Yeah.
So, I mean, I love it all in all reality, but I mean, I have an upper body workout that I just love, and I put it on Instagram like a week or so ago. So I'll get warm. I'll start out with like a heavy barbell shoulder press, and then I'll go into a bent over row or a pendlay row, and then incline dumbbell press, and then a single arm cable row for some isolation, and then you know, biceps hammer curls, cable French press for triceps, and then some hanging leg raises for abs. And it's just, I know it sounds like a bit spread out, but like when I do individualized movements like that, rather than just like hammering a significant, like one muscle group, is I can take way more focus and way more intensity into those sets for that muscle group than I would if I was like just hitting chest, just hitting shoulders, just hitting back, you know, because it's like when you know, at least somebody who is, I'd say at least intermittent novice at training, like you know, if you went and hit a chest workout right now, you'd probably get through 2 or 3 movements before you were smoked. You know, like you're not going to be able to spend 2 hours hammering out chest and have the whole session be productive. Right. So you might as well focus on like 1 or 2 movements, hit them as hard as you fucking can, and then move on to a fresh piece of meat, if you will. So well, the way that I've kind of been sanctioning out my own training is, so I'll have an upper body day like that, where I'm like hitting each major muscle group with one power movement, you know, one movement that's focused in strength per se. I'll have a lower body strength focused day, so similar for legs. And then I'll get into a little bit more of the arduous repetitive work. So then I'll have a day off and then push pull legs. So then a more isolated work. And I enjoy that quite a bit more than some of the other stuff that I've ran over the last couple of years. So an upper lower kind of modified split.
Nice. So just circle back real quick. Do you have a specific program for firemen?
I did for a while. I was running a program that was based around, you know, getting guys ready for fire season, you know, so wildland shit. Cause you know, whether they're seasonal or they're coming in, you know, most kids or guys that are on the job or younger ones, they spend the whole winter fucking off, riding dirt bikes, going snowboarding, drinking, and then they show up and they're fucking fat, they're slow, they're out of shape, you know. So I was like, hey, bro, like fucking do this, you know, 8 to 10 week program that's going to get you ready for fire season, because nobody's going to want to work with you if you're the slowest fucking cat on the engine. Nobody wants to double up their responsibilities because you parged your ass off all winter long, you know? So that was something I was offering for a little while.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. Fucking dude, fucking A, bro. Where can we find Reliant Fitness? I don't know. Is it too hard to find on Instagram?
No. Instagram is probably the easiest place to find me, dude. So, you know, at reliant.fitness. TikTok, YouTube, same thing. Those are the places I'm consistently posting. But Instagram is the easiest place to see where I'm, keeping up with the daily, if you will, because I'm posting on there religiously. Anybody that's interested in kind of the inner workings of what I do, feel free to, hit me up on Instagram or go to my website. Got some merch on the website too that we're just dropping. So hats, beanies, hoodies, sweats, some tank tops. So going to be diving pretty deep into the merchandise game this year too, and just try to get the name out there even more than it already is, and offer it at a level that everybody can realistically afford. Not everybody's going to be coming looking for, personalized coaching, but most people will buy a fucking shirt. So
hey, if I got the shirt, I fucking, I did it, man. But you got any final advice to somebody looking to get into a program like yours, who's never been in anything like this, who really didn't work out?
Yeah. I mean, my biggest thing is obviously a lot of people are skeptical of it, right? They see some of the online snake oil, they don't think it's going to work for them. And I assure you, if you do your due diligence and kind of do a little homework on who you're looking into working with, whether it's myself or anybody else in the space, the money and time that you will put into yourself for say 6 to 12 months, if you're actually dedicated, will absolutely change your life, and some people, are charged a bit, like it is an investment, but it's an investment in you. And, this body is the one place that you have to live day in and fucking day out. So you might as well learn how to take care of it. You might as well learn how to respect it and be proud of your presence. We walk through life and we spend money and time and focus on so much bullshit where it's like, like I was saying earlier, if you can come to terms, and kind of submit to the process, so to speak, then it's like you can make more progress, more success. You can learn more about nutrition training or your mindset yourself in 6 months than you've probably done in the last 10, 15, 20 years. So look at it in that fashion. Don't look at it. Don't look at it as like a 6-month commitment. Look at it as like, I'm taking 6 months to build the foundation for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah. Solid fucking advice. And, unbelievable. You're changing lives, bro. You're doing the right thing and you're blowing up, and it's just the beginning for you and your family and your friends, and surrounding yourself with great people really elevates you. And it's awesome to see. It's awesome to watch you from the beginning, when you started to now. And now I get to talk, I got to talk to you. So it was very, very cool for me. I got to tell you.
Yeah. So, my pleasure, man. I mean, this is what it's all about, connecting with people and, sharing, some experience, some tips, tricks, whatever, and getting the message out there, as loud and as proud as we can. A lot of people, especially in the fire service, everybody's like very hush about everything, like, which is something I didn't necessarily like. Oh, you want a fucking cookie, bro, because you did your fucking job? It's like, no, bro, but people like to be celebrated for shit, like people like to be told that they're doing something good, or like actually get some recognition or some credit. Not that I'm out here seeking recognition or credit, but it's like, dude, like there's nothing wrong with taking pride in something and being vocal about it, and a lot of people are condemning that in the fire service, like I met a lot of guys that were like afraid to tell people they were firemen. I'm like, why? That's the coolest fucking shit ever, bro. Like, hey, man. The only time you're going to meet a firefighter you don't like is if you're a fucking cop, like, in all reality. No, I'm kidding. But like you said, man, fucking positive reinforcement for somebody who might be down, hearing that, hey, man, you don't have to jerk them off, but you could be like, listen, bro, you did a good job, bro. Yeah.
Like hearing that I did a good job from the senior men, even if they were like, Kenny, good job.
Yeah.
It goes a long way, man, for a person.
For sure. And it's something I've said for a while, like a lot of places, and I'm sure this rings true over on the East Coast, but it's like, when you basically celebrate mediocrity, but you condemn excellence, you are killing culture. Like, so it's like if you're not giving praises to the guys who are your workhorses, you're fucking, your go-to guys, like they're not going to stay go-to guys, So like my whole thing is obviously try to give my people their praises as much as possible and reinforce them in any which way that I can. Because obviously when good deeds and hard work goes recognized, they're going to continue to fucking do it,
Yeah. Fucking on that note, Brad, don't hang up. when I stop recording. I know you're busy, but give me 2 more minutes.
I got you.
Thank you. I mean, this was awesome to talk to you. I really appreciate you. I know how busy you are. I know how busy all this stuff is. So I thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, bro. It's been a blast.
It was fun, right? It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, on that note, Brad Dunn, Reliant Fitness. Anywhere you fucking Google Reliant Fitness, you will not be disappointed. Get on his program. I'm telling you, get on the program. And remember, it must be true if you heard it at the kitchen table.
That's right.
Ciao, everybody.
Thank you, bro.
Pull up a chair, my friend, the kitchen table's on. Kenny's pouring stories like a long, slow midnight song. 3 lads in from the zoo, grins a mile wide as they sit. Harlem smoke still in their jackets, heart of the city in their wit. Here's to Engine 59 and the Harlem Zoo.